Reaction video. Yeah, it's to a video by Fred. Yeah, fucking Fred. Anyway, son of a bitch. Anyway, so he did another one of these videos, again, trying to blanket somebody who believes in fundamental science, as comparing them to religious fundamentalists, who, in a sense, have a certain rationality to them, right? I mean, it is kind of a joke that the worst of the religion is the more religious. I mean, the person who takes it actually seriously is the person we mock as a religious person. And somehow we don't mock the person who revises God's writing. So yeah, they believe God wrote the Bible, but they believe themselves to be competent to know what part God really meant. I mean, it's laughable. And then if they say it's just a metaphor or just stories, well, then it's more ridiculous, right? Stories about, a God who's, overseeing things and we should have a personal relationship with. So that doesn't really go anywhere, does it? So, I mean, at least the religious fundamentalist isn't insane, logically, just completely insane, as the religious revisionist. Revising God's writing is a lot more laughable. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, this is just such a slander. Like anybody who, doesn't fall for astrology now is somehow, archaic and he's thinking like a caveman. Doesn't get modern science. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, we know that, well, quantum mechanics is math. Quantum theory, the theoretical crap tied to it, is mumbo-jumbo. And these people want to make the mumbo-jumbo into something. So they've made it into multiverses and string theory and all kinds of other crap. And it's crap. I mean, it's interesting crap, but it's crap. All right, it's astrology. And it's nothing else. It's like a card game. 3-card Monte. The magical quantum. Yeah, it can read your mind. They can read our mind and know when we're looking at them. This is how they take it to these extremes that are just absolutely preposterous. But they're almost the fundamentalists, right? Because they build it all on some two-slit experiment. And they'll just keep saying, the two-slit experiment says so. It says the photons can read our mind. It's proven fact. No, it isn't. So anyway, so now he's using, these theoretical conceptions of reality as if, like I said, if I don't buy astrology now, I'm somehow a pseudoscientist or a scientistic worldview or some sort of other insulting terminology that we'll use to describe my inability to change with the times. Again, like the fundamentalist Christian is supposed to, realistically, he's supposed to acknowledge that the Bible is a metaphor, that has no integrity. It was written by men, that it is not the word of God, and he is supposed to think it's rational to revise God's words. Yeah, okay, sure. We know what's wrong with religious fundamentalism. Okay, it's built on unreasonable belief, faith. Okay, faith is no excuse to believe in something. It's nonsense. It's idiotic. That's their fundamental error. That their whole worldview has no credibility. It's a 2,000-year-old human story, and it would be silly to write it in stone. Just plain silly. Now, in my defense, there's nothing silly in me writing down the round earth in stone, writing down maybe E equals MC squared in stone, evolution for sure in stone. These are perfectly rational conclusions. And quantum isn't going to change any of that. You're not going to find the magical human soul or spiritualism or astrology or any other magic, even if quantum were probabilistic in the sense that they actually had no location until they were forced to be located. which I'm, yeah, I was just saying, it's flatly wrong. But let's say even if it was true, all that would give you is an element of randomness in the crudest function. And any randomness in the cruder functions are not going to change the higher functions. There's no way for them to, it's no way for quantum to percolate into your computer and make it smarter. Quantum's not going to fix errors. It's going to make more errors. It's going to make things less dependable, not things more reliable. So it doesn't do anything positive in any way. It's you can't say because the quantum are probabilistic they can do A, B, or C in a random choice. That somehow A, B, or C is going to help you in making a decision or help the world in terms of a crisis and whether the president hits the red button or not. Quantum isn't going to make those decisions better. It's only going to increase the possibility of an error. So what the hell value is there in it? It doesn't hold any hope. And but if you dare to argue that yeah, maybe it's just a little too coincidental that the particles we can't see are the ones that have all the magic powers, that oh man, you have offended. And you're doing it for a personal reason because you just don't want the poor little quantums and the poor little photons and electrons to have magical powers. You don't want them to have free will. Almost back to Pyrrho kind of arguments. The feeling parameciums. No, I'm sorry. I think it's quite obvious who's trying to augment reality with bullshit. All these people who think we have to sit around. Oh, facts are always changing. They've always changed throughout history. yeah, wheels got rounder, and then they're made of rubber, and then eventually they'll be like supery dupery, and then they'll be double supery dupery. This whole idea like you don't ever learn something. You don't ever, finish and write the book and say, yeah, this is the book on that subject. It's done. All right, this is a sock. It covers your foot. It protects you from the harshness of the footwear. There we go. Do we really need to wait for the whole real story to show up about what socks are? No, I don't think we do. I think we can write the book and be done with that subject. And there's lots of subjects we can be done with. They're not infinitely complex. We don't have to wait around for the end of the universe to find out the answer to the question. The question is accessible right now, and these people just don't like the answers to these questions. The facts are screaming an answer. They don't want to hear that answer because that answer doesn't say, oh man, you are so fucking cool. No, the facts scream, you're a fucking egomaniacal asshole. And they don't want to hear that. And so they're just running as fast as they can from reality because they don't like it. Period. And so they're going to sit there and try to slander and malign people who are going to keep pointing to it, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction, and keep rubbing it in your faces and saying, deal with it, buddy. Yeah, there is no life in the rest of the planets, and there's no life on this planet other than one time, one cell. So all your little fantasies about the universe and what you're going to do out there are just that, silly fantasies. Nothing to do with reality. Nothing to do with how we got here and why we have the tools that we have. Sorry. It's not a great story. And you wanting to erase the truth and add new crap and then somehow try to make secret crap available in the future so you have an excuse to just sit around and pretend we don't know enough. We don't have enough evidence yet. We can't draw any conclusions. So what's the jokey day? When's the big day when you actually say, yeah, we do know enough. Yep, we got all the answers that are necessary. how deep do we have to go? Double quantum, triple quantum, before we can figure out that we evolved on planet Earth, that it's just a replicating molecule, that there is no grand purpose, there is no grand function. It just happens to be a property of a certain piece of chemistry in a certain environment that fell on the capacity to replicate, a capacity that isn't built in to the nature of any other, certainly not built into the nature of elements. They don't just replicate on their own spontaneously or mechanically. Certainly not in the nature of 99.999999999% of chemical compounds, that they somehow have a capacity to be duplicated easily, to have the parts stick to them and them to split in half and create two copies. No, it's a function of a particular molecule, and only one molecule that we know of, one class of molecule anyway, and that's it. And it's just a phenomenon, and you just don't find that satisfactory. And so you want to sit around and search inside of quantums. You want to start ripping atoms apart forever until you find the magic words that say humans are cool. I mean, it's just such a crock of shit. So anyway, there was a point in conference reports, RAG, that where he was talking about human evolution, which was quite hilarious, and civilization evolution, as if there is no linear problems there either, as if you could evolve all kinds of civilizations forever, just keep destroying them and blah blah blah. And we already know that in the nuclear age that's not going to be possible, and certainly in the we don't even know how dangerous we can become in terms of acquiring technology capable of releasing all kinds of energy, and we know how we'll release it. So that's just a fallacy, that we have any survivability at all. The evolution of warfare tells you, that the potential for doom gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, we get better at avoiding the catastrophe, because we have all these social mechanisms that make it almost mutually assured destruction to get into those kind of conflicts. So they always have to be very imbalanced wars. Bombs, smart bombs against sticks and stones, that kind of thing. Any kind of fair fight would be really destructive. So it always has to be a bully who's beating the shit out of the little guy. But we know that eventually, someday, it could be quite possible that you'll have a real fight. And if that day comes, there's no resolution. There's no defeated. Okay, there's not going to be somebody who's going to sit there and concede defeat, without pulling every weapon they have out of their pocket. And so you're fucked. So that game can't keep playing. We can't keep playing out these habits of the human animal. And they are clearly habits of the human animal. They're not something you're going to fix. Especially in a world where the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet are doing the most breeding. Present company included. If appropriate. You're more likely to breed the dumber you are. The less productive you are, the more likely you are to breed. It's the fact of reality on planet Earth now. How conducive is that to a better world? Doesn't sound like the recipe for a better world. Loving each other and all this other crap. No sale. Not likely. No hope, really. Let's see what else. Big girl. Anyway, it's distracting. Yeah, girls. Yeah. I have a noise for every kind of interruption. But anyway. Better watch out. The rock for kicking is here soon, possibly. It's all the damn water. We've had all this rain. It's washed everything out. There's more rocks protruding. It's not good for a guy with a little bit of a gimp. Anyway, so wrapping up. Well, I hope the Crown Jewel guys gets it now what Fred's doing. He's just trying to slander anybody who takes the science we do know seriously as some sort of religious kook, when he in fact is the religious kook searching for his woo-woo superpowers, his woo-woo super purpose in some other mechanism. Again, why would we even want the human race to evolve into something else? It's not going to evolve into something better, is it? And again, through what process and at what price? This is just such crap. When you think of it, the price paid for it, and these assholes take no account of that. He did make a little dig at another important subject here. Was it determinism? No, it was determinism. He did take a shot at, but with the quantum crap. But there was another aspect that he took a little wanked on. He wanked at the end, even. Wankers, he calls me. Obviously, that's the other part too. He doesn't have the balls to use my name. He doesn't have the balls to have a real argument. So he just veils it all in these vague slanders of a vague person in a vague world that doesn't really have to really exist. So it's more hiding behind metaphors instead of dealing with what we do know as a reality, which is just pitiful. Damn if I can remember the other thing he wanked on. Look, the bottom line is the guy has no real appreciation for subjectivity. That's right. So again, he's another one of these people who thinks that he believes that there is no high intelligent ultimate truth, absolute statements that would ever be said about the subject of sentient life in the universe. That no intelligence, no supercomputer intelligence, no most brilliant intelligence ever known to exist would ever have the perception that sentience was important, that the sentient beings were in welfare states of comfortable and uncomfortable, and that it would be better to have less of the suffering and more of the comfort. That would be knowledge or understanding or wisdom that would escape a superintelligence. A superintelligence would say something stupid like, I like blue hats. I don't know what, it's just so silly that it wouldn't find, so he's another one of these subjectivists, another person hiding behind this idea that we don't have to worry about the fact that there's a fact here. We can squander and waste all the suffering we want to. It's all excusable because you can just claim subjectivity. You can just claim that I can make up a different equation to escape the reality, escape the responsibility, and that's all he's doing. And it's obvious, and it's evil. It's just plain nasty. It's irresponsible. It's unintelligent. It's plainly unacceptable as anything within the realm of reasonable conduct for a reasonably educated human being and such. Anyway, now enough said. Fuck Fred now.